Last time on Shadow Piece, Moria met the death goddess Hisanashi and her child, the joyous Nika. He always had a rough plan of what to do after defeating Kaido, all culminating in him becoming the next pirate king. After all, that's just the thing pirates want to achieve. What else should he aim for? So that's the obvious thing to do. At least that's what Moria had in mind until this encounter. Now he has a role to fulfill, a thing to do in the world. First comes defeating Kaido, and in the future he will play a big part in changing the entire world. Becoming the Pirate King is now only a step in Moria's journey. This put a smile on his face. After all, that means that there is still a lot to experience, and his journey together with the Thriller Bark Pirates has not come to an end just yet. The world still holds a lot of mysteries, countless mysteries, and before he can bite the dust, he has to be there to raise the next generation. Raising a child might seem a bit out of character for our Shadow Emperor, but he already did it once, and Perona, well, she turned out fine. But where will he find a child and be sure of it being the right one? There are many uncertainties, many variables, and yet, just like always, Moria will take everything one step at a time. As he is slowly losing consciousness again, with his vision turning completely black, the last thing he can see is Nika laughing. More than 800 years ago, a man was born that would later become known as the legendary figure Joy Boy. Not much is known about him nowadays, but he made a promise with the residents of Fishman Island. However, he somehow ended up breaking this promise, and even now we don't know what exactly it was. The giant elephant and the home of the Minks was an ally of Joy Boy as well. This elephant to this point still has to carry out a punishment it received all these centuries ago. Sometime after allying with Sunisha, Joy Boy came across an island, which would later be named Laughtail by Goldie Roger. There, Joy Boy left behind a treasure that would come to be known as the One Piece. His story is still a mystery, but we know that he was the wielder of Nika's powers in the past. Once that knowledge is known by Moria, his future role becomes even more obvious. However, for that, Moria has to find all the poneglyphs and read the information they contain. That mission alone will cost him years and make him travel all over the world. Moria won't bring joy wherever he goes. That will be the job of whoever he might raise. But even then, a parent can never control what their child wants to do. So maybe Moria's child, the next Joy Boy, doesn't really want to be Joy Boy. While Moria yet doesn't know the story of this so-called Joy Boy, you will get a sneak peek in a moment of time after Joy Boy already awakened Nika inside of him. Theories say that Nika and Joy Boy weren't the same person. The man going by the name Joy Boy was just the user of Nika's powers. He was an easygoing fella, always enjoying himself and having fun with everybody around him. That already explains why his group of allies also consisted of the most wacky kinds of creatures. An elephant that would grow up to be the size of an entire island and stand at a height of over 35 kilometers. A giant mermaid capable of controlling the Sea Kings, basically an oceanic threat not many would dare to oppose. And a young human with enough destructive power to erase entire islands out of existence, like they never existed. And so many more crazy people we can talk about another time. Joy Boy himself was a giant, and under his enormous straw hat, he was always wearing a smile. Carrying his smaller allies on his shoulder or on his head was pretty much normal for him. Wherever their journey led them, people turned happy and their adventures always ended with a big feast and party. It was the ideal life, at least for most of his friends. Even in his era, problems were common occurrences in the world. So the Joy Boy group became known as heroes, that help people that need to experience joy. They didn't want gold or jewelry as rewards. The best compensation for them were the smiles on the people's faces once they saved them. However, as a member of a nowadays erased Great Kingdom, Joy Boy always had to deal with his enemy, the people from the 20 kingdoms, that would later form the world government. Out of these 20 kingdoms, 19 decided to live in Marijois after they destroyed the Great Kingdom. Only the Nefertari family chose to remain with the people, and until a very recent event, they still ruled over Alabasta. Today, a man that goes by the name of Bagi Nefertari is the king of the Alabasta Kingdom. But that's also a story for another time. The battles against members of the 20 kingdoms continued for decades, until a huge war broke out. This is the start of the Void Century, if you want to call it that. Joy Boy, his allies, and the other members of the Great Kingdom stood against the armies of the 20 Kingdoms. Elderly, non-combatants, and children were secretly evacuated. This decision is the only reason why members of the clan still exist in the current timeline. For most of the battle, the Great Kingdom was in control of the war. With Joy Boy's powers, Poseidon powers, and the strength of everybody's willpowers, they could not be defeated. So what happened next shocked everybody present. One human that fought together with Joy Boy since almost the beginning of his journey turned against him and stabbed him in the back. This betrayal was what led to the downfall of the Great Kingdom. Not only did Joy Boy slowly die from the attack of his comrade, another member of his group also started attacking their friends. However, the second one had a much more complex expression on their face. They cried for every friend they had to kill. It was a very complex situation for them. This was the end. Nobody could stop the 20 Kingdoms now that Joy Boy and his allies had been defeated. Even a mermaid as strong as Poseidon barely survived and fled to Fishman Islands to one day return and defeat the 20 Kingdoms. The two traitors received praise and got showered with attention. They were the heroes of the 20 Kingdoms. As they left the Great Kingdom, the person that killed Joy Boy used their power and 16 beams of lights appeared from the sky, completely erasing the Great Kingdom from existence. All that was left from Joy Boy was his giant straw hat, and his murderer kept it for unknown reasons. Later they would become the leader of the new rulers of the world. While everybody else was happy with the outcome, the second traitor hated themselves for what they did. They followed orders and struck in the most opportune moments, but the emotions they felt were real and not just a mask they put on themselves. These people were always described as monsters, as devils, but the time spent with Joy Boy and his friends had proven the opposite. They were more human than the members of the 20 Kingdoms could ever hope to be, but the instructions from the rulers were to be followed, and if they didn't, well, objection would result in punishment by the other 19 Kingdoms. In addition, the way they were raised manipulated them enough to control them until the very end. The only thing they could do as a way to repent was not join the 20 Kingdoms and going to Marijois. That is why today there are only 19 families of celestial dragons. The last one was the Nefertari family, and as a way to ask Joy Boy for forgiveness, they remained with the ordinary people. A tragic story and the last time Nika awakened, and was part of the world's history. Since then the world government ruled over the people. For the countries that bowed to them, not much changed, but people that stood against them were mercilessly hunted down and removed from the annals of history. Members of the Clan of D, as they were called in the future, were presented as criminals, and with the invention of bounties, people started to fear them, chase them away, or even hand them over to the world government. Fabrications of history that never happened manipulated the masses, but there was nothing that could be done. Over time, bounties spread further than just the members of the D clan, especially as those natural enemies of God became a rarity. To make sure another strong enemy would never appear again, the Celestial Dragons also declared the fishmen and mermaids as less than humans, turning them into the very first slaves. This was to make sure that neither Poseidon or their descendants could ever come back to bite them. The world continued to evolve until it reached the point we know from the current time. With Goldie Roger's activities, the world once again became tumultuous, but the world government was still in control when he was there. Now the newest and biggest threat is about to join the battle. The future is uncertain, but the world government and the Celestial Dragons will have an increasingly hard time as their crimes get revealed to the masses. The Void Century will one day become common knowledge again, but until then there is still a lot of work to do, and still a lot of episodes for Shadow Piece to air. That is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why don't you consider clicking on that subscribe button or the like button. Maybe I will do a summary of what happened in Shadow Piece up to this point, so maybe new people can join us here at this point as well. But for me, all that's left to be said is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. This has been Pyro Primer, and we will see each other again in the next video. Until then, bye!